Hello and thanks for joining me at TCD Transporters. So this little video is probably something that we're all going to face sooner rather than later. We have a dilemma. So we've just sold our demo van and we need to buy another one. So as you'll all know, currently on the market at the minute is obviously a choice of second-hand vans, so from T5s all the way through to T6.1s. And then there's the new one, the T7. What would you buy? As the new T7 is starting to get some really good offers, and they're actually, I'm going to use it a bit tongue-in-cheek, cheap. So they are quite cheap for what you're getting. Some 6.1s now are more expensive than a new T7. So which brings you to our dilemma. So we've just sold our demo van, a lovely Fortana Red 6.1. So now we have the choice. We either buy a T7 or we stick with what we know and we buy a 6.1. So what would you do? But a lot of people ask me what would I do. So I'm going to show you what I've done. So hang around. Join me, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and I'll show you what we bought and why. So yeah, we bought a 6.1, and I am not a T7 hater by any means, but there's quite a few things that I really don't like about them, and for me, I think we've got another 6.1 before we have to buy a T7. So yeah, there's lots of things, isn't there? There's the build quality, there's the engine, there's so many other things going on with that T7 that we're not necessarily overly confident with yet until we see how they pan out. Now, I always think of myself as like an early adopter. You know, we will take the chance on the earlier models when they come out. That doesn't normally put me off, but there's something about the 7 that does just put me off for now. And like I said, I'm not a T7 hater. We tried the T7, we've had 2 T7s now. We had the T7 we did for the video, which was a 150 manual, and we've also tried a 170 auto. And yeah, they are okay, they're nice vans. There's nothing to dislike about them, but they're just, at the minute, not for me. I think there's too many Ford things going on with it. I don't think Volkswagen has fully got to polish the product as much as they would have liked to have done. So what I mean by that is, you know, there's still a lot of, you know, underlying Ford paraphernalia going on where realistically that should have been ironed out and made, you know, more VW-esque. So what I mean by that is like a lot of the controls and noises and, you know, some of the bits on it that just do scream Ford. I mean, whether they'll change, I don't know. They might not ever change. Ford and Volkswagen might be now set on that path where they will now remain the same. So as in, like, the windscreen will always have a Ford badge etched on it. The instrument panels, when it goes into having some sort of meltdown or crisis, will always give you a Ford style bing bong rather than a VW electronic noise. I don't know, you know, that might always be a case, and we're never going to be appeased fully. It would be a shame, but there you go. Perhaps they could have put the VW and Ford logo on the glass. Perhaps they could have done a completely different noise for the instrument panels, warning system and stuff like that. I don't know. That would have been a good idea, wouldn't it? Then it's a brand new noise for both the vans, but they haven't. There is Ford noises and there is Ford badges all over it. Now, I'm not a badge snob. Like I said, I actually quite like the T7, and I really wanted to like it. I so wanted to take the opportunity for when we did get the next van to have a T7, but like I said, there's just something niggling away in the back of me that says no, we shouldn't have one, not just yet anyway. So like I said, I think we've got one 6.1 left before we'll definitely have to have a T7, because otherwise these are just going to get a little bit old and they're not current, and then we don't want to be constantly with the old technology. We are going to have to move along and embrace it, and I think a lot of us will get used to that Ford VW collaboration, and it'll just be one of those things, like with anything new. The old outgoing model always looks a bit more favourable, doesn't it? But I think in this instance I was definitely favouring the 6.1. So let's have a look at what we bought. So it's a pure grey T6.1 Highline model, T32, which you can see by the fact it's got the Davenports and the bigger brakes. You can just probably about see the bigger brakes behind those. It's a 204 DSG, so great engine, great gearbox. That combo is just the ultimate van for me, because it's quick, it's got a super easy smooth gearbox to use, and it just does everything we want it to do. The only option that I was missing was the fact that I really wanted to get it with the LED lights from the factory. They are an absolutely amazing light, but we have already dealt with that. We've got a set of THQ LEDs, they're new ones, ready to install. We've got actually quite a lot of bits ready to install onto this, but that's another thing. But yeah, so spec wise it would have been great to have the LED lights. We didn't get those, but what we did get is the single passenger seat, so we'll just have a little look in. Yes, so inside I have got my seat cover on the driver's side, as we're now using it for more work related stuff. Single passenger seat, which is a really nice option to have, so it means we haven't got to muck about trying to get one of those. Usual bits on the dash, you can see I've put my phone mount on there already, and it is the normal radio, so DSG gearbox, aircon, parking sensors, usual bits and bobs, multifunction steering wheel. Has got a bulkhead on this one, bulkhead with a window, unusual. It's VW window as well, so yeah, they've obviously spec'd it like that from the factory. Going around the van, the side door, just show you, is on the power latching, so that's really nice that we got a power latching sliding door. Tailgate model, always like a tailgate model, so that's really good. Irritatingly, because it has got the key on the back, it's not got the color coded handle, so we're going to have to color code the handle. Standard lights, like we said, so like the front, it's a non-LED version, so these are the standard headlights, standard tail lights. Yeah, there's those Davenports, as you can see. Oh, pure grey, I don't know if I mentioned that. Obviously that's a nice colour. Yeah, very standard looking van. So that is our new base for what we are now going to modify the hell out of. So like we said, we've got a lot to do to this one, so we now just put it back in the workshop. So first up, to make it look a little bit more of a DCD style van, the first thing to go is going to be the suspension and the wheels. Next up, we're going to put a splitter on the front of the bumper just to sort of finish it off for the short term, while we're waiting for the body kit to get painted We have ordered quite a nice kit for this one, different to what we've done before, because the previous van had the Sportline bumper on it, so this is going to be slightly different. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's get the suspension off. Let's get a decent set of suspension on it. For this, we've chosen the Solo NXTs because I believe they just ride the absolute best, and we're not going to go as low as what we did on the previous van, so there was no point us going for like Solo lows. I just didn't want to go that low again. It's just a little bit too impractical for where we want to go and what we want to do with this one. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's get it stripped down. Let's get that suspension changed over. Let's get some nice wheels on it, and we'll show you the results.
So the 204 gets a bit of a bad rap. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. It's the 180s that get a bit of a bad rap. The 204 is actually quite a decent engine, and they've done a lot to improve it. Since the 5.1s and the 6s that were quite troublesome with the bi-turbo engines. So this is a bi-turbo 6.1, so therefore, like I said, it's 204 brake horsepower. It's probably one of the quickest vans that you're going to get, so that appealed to me without having to do many modifications to make it any faster. So for me, it made a lot of sense, and I wanted to go for the highest power model that we could. That coupled with the DSG gearbox was something we definitely wanted to do. So that's worth talking about, actually. That DSG gearbox compared to the new T7 gearbox, so they are different, and they have taken a bit of a step back in technology, which is a bit of a shame, because I really can't understand why they've done that. So the T7 uses a conventional gearbox. Now I'm going to use the word slush box because that is what they basically used to be. So they use a conventional torque converter to get that power from the engine to the wheels. These are like two manual gearboxes with an automated clutch, so like a robotised manual, but way more complex than that, and way more effective. So this DSG stands for direct shift gearbox, so that means there's two gearboxes, effectively your odd numbered gears and your even numbered gears, and they have two clutches. So the clutch pack on one, so you've got 1, 3, 5 and 7, and then the clutch pack sitting on the other one, which is 2, 4 and 6. And they're always there and ready, so that's why these DSG gearboxes are so quick, and they're actually really economical as well, because they use a sort of almost conventional style clutch. So there's not a lot of wasted efficiency like there would be on a torque converter gearbox. Torque converter gearboxes are quite inefficient in the way that they move through the gears, but they're also very smooth. So you will hear quite a few people on the videos that are out for the the T7s, you will hear them say that, oh, the gearbox is really smooth compared to the T6.1. Yeah, it will be, because it's a completely different style of gearbox, where these are like a more snappy manual, so the shifts are a little bit harsher, but they're still, when they're in more of a comfort setting and you're just pootling about, they're still very good gearbox, so it's very smooth. But like I said, both systems are different, and you could favour one over the other if you really wanted. For me, I prefer the DSG style gearbox, but there are advantages for the older style torque converter gearbox, which is in the new man. Like I said, I'm not quite sure why they've decided to do that, but there must be a reason. They've probably made it better in terms of its efficiency, and it's a smoother gearbox. So yeah, that auto transmission is, for me, one of the considerations when you're looking at T6.1 versus T7. So we now need to get struts off. So we're going to start taking it apart, get the wipers off, get the scuttle out, and undo the struts, so then we can start getting them lowered down and swapped out into the new ones. Okay, so that's the first mod done. Solo NXT suspension, so it isn't as low as what you might expect from some of our vans, which are pretty low. We do a lot of the solo low stuff and the NSL, not so low. So NSLs go down to about 90mm down from factory. Solo lows can go down as much as 125mm. That's what we had on the red van. So on our Fortana red van we had solo lows. So they are about 125mm if you use their full travel. So if you put them down as far as they'll go without using the hub mod or shaved top mounts, we had about 125mm out of that. And that rode really nice. That was a really nice drive. But with the Sportline front bumper, and which is 40mm deeper, and that suspension, we were just getting a little bit too close for comfort with some of the places that we're going. So we go onto a lot of airfields for a hobby that I have, and it just gets a bit risky. And with the Sportline bumper, it's a one-piece bumper. It has a tiny little piece in the middle that's replaceable. But essentially, if you hit that bumper, that's game over. That's going to the body shop if you can get it plastic welded. That's just a whole lot of hassle, a lot of expense, a lot of problems. So for me, we're not going to run air suspension. That is a consideration. It might be something that we'll do in the future, but at the minute we just can't justify spending that kind of cash on the air suspension. So I wanted to have something that's a bit of a compromise. We definitely don't like the standard suspension. It's too wallowy. It's got no real control and poise to the van. So regardless of whether you like the van being high or low, whatever, it's largely irrelevant. The standard suspension has not got much control. The damping is very generalised. So it has to suit a variety of people and a variety of different applications. Like we said before on the suspension, it has to cover such a broad spectrum. It's just so generalised for everybody. So for us, this is, like I said, solo NXTs. I really like them, so that's going to improve the ride, improve the comfort, and make the control a little bit better as well. So it's going to have less roll. It's not going to carry all of that body roll through the corners. So this is going to tighten it up no end. So that, and we've got some Leighton Van alloy wheels, and I really like these. They're in gloss grey, it's a really nice sort of metallic finish. It's like a little bit like the dark chrome finish that you do get on some of the alloy wheels. Now I was going to delete the chrome from the front of the grille, but now I've put those on, I'm not really sure if I'm going to take the chrome off the grille, because they are quite they are a bit blingy from certain angles. They're a lot more chrome looking than what I was sort of expecting. I thought they were going to be a little bit more gloss, sort of gunmetal-y colour. But I do really like them. That said, I am really quite fond of them since we've put them on. Yeah, I like the look of them. The van will come down a little bit more. I do think it will settle. This is literally a couple of hours since we cut the video. We've now put these NXTs on and these wheels. I am expecting it to settle very slightly. It's not going to be night and day. It's not going to suddenly find itself slammed. It might come down a little bit as everything sort of settles into position, but effectively we're just going to accept that that is going to be approximately its ride height. Like I said, which I'm pretty happy with that. That's good. That's going to see us with a lot of ground clearance. So we have ordered a front spoiler, which is, spoiler alert, is it? An LVS front spoiler. So that's in the body shop at the minute. So I really wanted to give that a try. I did like the Sportline and was really tempted to do that again, but it's nice to be different, isn't it? So new van, different sort of scheme, different accessories. I do have one of the little spoilers I could put on for now, one of the splitters, like what we originally had on our Fortana red van. I do have one of those as a spare. I was going to chuck it on just so it had a little bit of something down on the front there, but that is gloss, and obviously the rest of the van is that sort of satiny matte finish. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to run with that. And the body shop says that they're going to be pretty quick with painting, so once they finish painting that, I think they'll be putting that on anyway. So I think it's probably pointless us putting the splitter on in the meantime. So yeah, starting to look a little bit more like a DCD van. We've got some other mods that I want to do as well. and that we might do tomorrow morning. So yeah, just stick the wipers back on this thing and we'll be good to go. So that's sort of stage one finished, and like I said, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's a really good start, and I'm looking forward to driving it home and yeah, feeling the difference that the NXTs are going to make over the stock suspension, and yeah, it's going to be so much better. The standard suspension, like I said, whether you like a high band, low band, whatever, it's just not got that much control, and I find it just way too wallowy. So for me, that's a great improvement. So let's get on with all the other stuff. So, watching Urban Overpark's video of his new T7, I did see that, quite rightly, he was a bit disappointed with the dealer and the condition that he received the van. Our experience has been the complete opposite with this. This was really nicely presented when we came to pick it up. The guys at Martin's VW, we're not sponsored by them in any way. They did look after us, but we didn't get any discount or anything like that. But what they did do, which I thought was really nice, is without prompting, they put some diesel in the van. So that actually covered our journey home. We bought it from Basingstoke, so we brought it all the way back to Suffolk. It's still got enough diesel for pootling about. So thumbs up to them for that. I was really pleased with that. The other thing is, I did point out a couple of little marks that were on the van, and they gave us a touch-up pin. Okay, so this isn't massive stuff, you know, it's not huge value, but it just goes to show you that, you know, a little bit of decency goes a long way. But the van was presented really well. It was really clean, and I'd go so far to say it was immaculate when we came to pick it up. Inside and outside was really nice, and it just prompted me actually, because I was looking at the roof. Because Urban's van was just disgusting, and a lot of I think bird put on the roof that had been looked like it sat there for a while and no one had bothered cleaning it. So I was just looking on that actually. It's the first time I've got up on the ladder to see what the roof was like, and it's just as clean. So I'll try and get a shot of it before we finish. But yeah, it's really tidy. The whole van's really nice. So shout out to Martins for looking after us in that respect. Like I said, it wasn't a cheap van in any way really, when you consider we could have got a new T7 on one of the deals. Now, I did say on our previous video that we looked at a T7 on the configurator. That was 50 grand, I think, by the time we'd spec'd it all up. So that was single seat or single passenger seat, nice paint, a few other bits and bobs, and yeah, that was 50 grand. You know, not a cheap van by any means. So, but we've seen some deals on these T7s. You go on Auto Trader and have a look at these. There's new T7s for 35 including that. Okay, they're not going to be the absolute spec that you want, but that gets you into a brand new van, and it's still going to come with all the warranty and bits and bobs. So there is a thing that, did we shoot ourselves in the foot by not buying a new van? Yeah, this has not got the tech that the new van has got. The interior now is, I'm going to use the word dated, but I do really like it. You know, it's analog clocks. It's not got the most amazing infotainment. You know, it's like, but there's something about this that I do really like. I like the analog dials. I get along well with the stereo. If I was going to be, I think, really pedantic about the audio, none of the VW audio is amazing. You know, it's a real shame that they don't spec these vans up particularly the 6.1s, with something decent like they put in the cars, like the B&O system or the Harman Kardon. That would be amazing if we could get those. But I think we've got to be realists. Audio-wise, these don't make a great audio machine if you're looking at a standard van. So yes, you can kit them all out, yes you can sound deaden them, yes you can put loads of like really high-end audio in it and make it sound amazing. But from the factory, without all of that sound deadening and without all of those extra bits, 4 speakers, so 2 door speakers, 2 tweeter speakers, are not cutting edge technology. You know, even if you put Harman Kardon speakers in there, you know, it's still lacking. You know, on a panel van with a bulkhead, what have you got? 4 speakers. Could possibly put some in the bulkhead. That's a tiny, thin, skinny bit of metal that's going to reverberate like a trooper. So you just wouldn't do it. So from an audio point of view, these aren't brilliant. So does it really need a massive upgrade of those? You can see why they don't offer it. I think no. Like I said, if I was really going to push it on the audio front, I'd go and put an Alpine Halo unit in it. We fitted a few of those. I had an Alpine Halo unit in my old T5, an incredible bit of kit. We fitted quite a few into 6s and 6.1s, including the Halo 11. That's a big screen, but it does then bring that dashboard up to what is quite a modern look. But like I said, I'm really happy with the audio that's in here. It's okay. I'll upgrade the speakers. We'll sound deaden the doors. The doors definitely need something. That doesn't sound that bad at the minute, but the driver's side, every time I keep getting in and out of it, it just sounds awful because it's so tinny. It's just really bad. But I'll soon sort that out. We need sounds like a Golf door seals on it, and we need sound deaden the inside of the door panel, and immediately that's going to be so much better, isn't it? So we'll do that. But for now, yeah, we'll just run with it as it is. But lots of things to do, so I'm getting distracted. Let's carry on with these little parts. So I'm just grabbing a tube of Bond. So we want to chuck a bit of Bond in the holes. These do have a tendency to leak like a sieve if you don't put some sealer in there. In this case, we've got some of the sealer strip Bond that we use for putting the body kits on with. I'm just going to fire some in the holes because, like I said, they are a nightmare for leaking. And what will happen is you won't notice it for ages. These little screws that you take out have got a really nice rubber seal on them from the factory. When we put the roof bars on there, it then just leaves itself open, so the water will come down this gutter and then just go straight in there, and it'll find its way through the thread, and then it'll come in through here, and it'll either leak down the A pillar or it'll leak down the B pillar, and you won't see it, not for ages, until it's like really wet on the inside. The worst one's like where the C pillar is. It leaks in through there and then into the back, down under the floor. And if you've got, the combis are okay because you've got that nice rubber floor on there. But if you've put a ply floor on, so whether it's marine ply or whatever, doesn't matter, it will get rotten within no time at all because a lot of water will just come straight down through those screw holes. And a bit of Bond will solve that. I'm quite generous with it, so we'll put a good bit in there, and when we take these roof bars out and fit a hot top roof, well, that's something I'm just going to have to live with, just to get them out. But for now, I don't want a leaky van, so we'll be a bit generous with this as we stuff it in the hole. And then when the bolt goes through, it'll seal itself up nice. Well done. If you're fitting roof bars for the first time, there is 6 bolts that hold them on. 4 of those bolts will be quite short, and 2 of them are much longer. So you've got 4 like that. If I was off camera, we've got 4 like that sort of length, and then two much longer. The two longer ones go in the middle. It's a 5mm Allen key that undoes the standard bolts, and it should be a 5mm Allen key that undoes the roof ones as well. So, they can be fiddly, as you can see, but once you've got them lined up they're pretty good. But it's just getting that initial lining up, and you can't really see through them. They are a little bit of a fiddly thing, like I said. Just to get it into position, you might need to slide the bar back and forth just to make sure you've got them all lined up, and don't tighten them up until you've got all three in position. Worth noting as well on these, they are only 60 kilos. Yeah, none of the roof bars are super high load, but they are quite nice. I think they look cool. So for me, it's just the aesthetic look of it that I'm after. I'll probably very rarely use them, if at all. So you should have some caps that are going to cover the bolt holes. Some of them are like a rigid plastic, some of them are like this one, like a little rubber bung. Put them in there. That will then save the majority of the water getting in that bit, but it's more the water that's going to come down the gutter that we're worried about, rather than the water that's coming in through the bars themselves. I think it's the water that's on the channel. That's where you need to worry. So that's why we put the little bit of bond in there, just to stop that water from tracking through the bolt thread. So we'll just knit these up, put the covers on, and then that's roof bars on. Happy days. Another little thing tips off the list. So admittedly we are going to put a pop top on this at some point. So this is kind of an exercise that we didn't really need to do. I could have held off. Like I said, we will be putting a pop top on it, but we're pretty busy at the minute, so I haven't got time. So unfortunately divert a lot of work away from what we're doing into our own van. so it's going to have to get built in between other projects. So with that in mind, we might not be able to fit a pop-top roof for a couple of months. So for now, I've got some roof bars, so we're just going to put them on, and that'll make it look a little bit better for the short term. Then in a couple of months' time, we'll sort of pop-top on this. But like I said, it's a nice easy mod. So I think that roof bars generally about like 80 to 100 quid or so. Plus you can get some crossbars that go on it that then make it practical for you to put a kayak on here or something like that. So for 80 odd quid, they're quite a practical little upgrade for your van, and if you're not having a pop top, I think they do make it look nice, or nicer. Just give the roof a little bit of something. And if you are having a pop top, you can still fit them, but you just got to bear in mind that you are then going to increase the overall height by another sort of 70 odd mil. So whatever your roof is, your pop top roof, and then plus your rails, so yeah, it's going to be another 70 mil on top. So a lot of standard vans with a pop top will still fit underneath a 2 metre height barrier. If you put a standard van with a pop top and then a set of roof rails, you might struggle. So I would just be cautious about that. If you've got a lowered van, then it's not so bad. And your pop top with a set of roof bars more than likely go under a 2 metre height barrier, but you'll obviously have to check, give your van a measure. It's not often on these vans you can modify something in less than half an hour and with only one tool. So a 5mm Allen wrench will get that sorted, and I think that looks loads better. So we've had half a day on the van, and I think it's changed loads already, and I'm really pleased with it. Look at it now, it looks so different from the factory standard van that it was only a few hours ago. So yeah, really pleased with that. So let's just have a quick tour around of what we've done. So I think it's obvious from the start. Obviously we've done the wheels, we've done the suspension, as we showed earlier on. So there is nothing in this van. It is still panel van. So I think we're going to see the suspension drop a little bit, particularly on the back. So it's a bit high as it is. This is the Solo NXTs, like we said. So wheels and suspension has been the big change of the day, and we've added some roof bars as well, because I just don't think the tin top vans look quite right without something on the roof. I like the bars, so for me it just gives us a nice little extra detail, and it's super cheap. You know, they're really easy to do, super cheap. So didn't manage to put the splitter on the front. We've run out of time today, as you can see. The lights go on. I really should pack up for the day. So we've got a lot of work to do on this van. So I think the best thing is we're going to split this into a series of how we develop and modify this van over the forthcoming months. So this is going to be episode 1. Thanks very much for joining me. Do subscribe, and then if you hit the bell button, you'll obviously get notification as we bring out further videos. And by subscribing, which is free, you'll get to see the rest of the journey with this van, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Like I said, we're going to do some different stuff to what we've done before, try and sort of mix it up a little bit, and I think the 6.1 is a popular van, so it makes sense to keep with it for now. Like I said, I'm all for the T7, I'm not a hater in any way, but let's wait and see what happens with it. In the fullness of time, I think when that develops, then it'll be worth getting one, but for now, we're just going to stick with the 6.1, and yeah, we've got a fair bit to do with this one, and I'm going to enjoy the journey for sure. So please do come and join me on this journey of modifying this 6.1 and turning it into a fantastic camper and proper modified little van. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye bye. Hello chicken. We have quite a few chickens here. Brilliant. Look at that. Just on cue.